This Fnatic C9 game was like C9's comp makes me want to puke in a barrel. I mean, I can see why they're picking Blind Fiora because it's probably like a very LPL LCK thing and they probably scrimmed them and then Blind Fiora was meta and they tried to pick it up. But Fiora requires a lot of execution. If you look at the difference between... Like, this game was all about bot lane, right? There was so much bot side focus and top lane was in isolation, right? This is just an observation, all I'm going to say. There wasn't much top side focus from either side. Until the lane swap came in at 11 minutes, 10 minutes 30, this was in isolation. But if you watch T1 versus EDG, it's the same matchup in isolation. This just shows, like, the difference of what a Fiora in isolation after 10 minutes playing the matchup well can do versus a Fiora that struggles. Like, this is exact same timer in the game. Fiora is up, like, 20-30 CS, and she's taking plates in Orin's face. So that's how I imagine this matchup goes in, like, the East. Where the Fiora is just murdering the Ornn and getting leads, right? But in this game, the Fiora did nothing. It's even against Wunder. Even Wunder tweeted, played against Fiora, and then I went to team fights and it was 5v4 because the Fiora doesn't do anything. Yo! Subscribe! Enjoy the video. Like, this draft requires so much discipline to play. Like, you're playing LeBlanc versus Azir, which is good. But you have kill pressure. You have to force kill pressure. So, like, you have to go through mid in most cases, I think. But what happens is top lane goes even. When I watched Zeus play versus Flandre, even on bouncing waves, Zeus's junk, like, owner didn't hover top that much, especially on bouncing waves. I think C9 had options this game for bouncing waves top, but they only had like 1 or 2 windows to do something to Wunder. And they got his flash early, I think, but that's about it. Also, Hilly made so many... Well, not so many. He made such a huge... I think it's better to say, like, mistake in lane phase, right? He just died in lane to fucking MF Nautilus as Aphelios Renata with the push. Like, Wunder plays this actually really well. This is how the Ornn Fiora matchup goes for Ornn. From my experience, from like... What happens in this matchup is it's a mind game between Ornn and Fiora. So, this is just a small mechanic I've noticed. Nuguri do it, but Fudge didn't. So what happens is, when the carry top of Camille or Fiora dives onto Ornn, they run behind the Ornn, so the Bellows Breath proc on the end cast doesn't hit, so they can't get a brittle auto, right? But if you get hit by the W, like this, right? What happens is the Fiora has brittle on and Ornn wants to auto her. But what you do is you auto like that, what Wunder did, and you cancel your auto. So then the Fiora gets baited into Wing, then you sidestep it, and then you can hit the Fiora with your brittle. If this happens in the lane, Fiora loses. But what LPL tops do is instead of allowing you to hit this brittle, what they do is they walk up, they hit you, and as you cast W, they Q behind you. This is how the Fiora needs to play it. If you Q forwards like this, and then take a step back, the Ornn can always hit W. And then when he goes to fake auto you like this, and he cancels his auto on purpose, Fiora has to W, otherwise she gets knocked back. Sidestep the slow, then hit. And now even if Blabber's not here, you win the trade. So I think, from what I've seen, I don't want to sample size it in one game, but Western tops, or Fudge at least, it doesn't play it correctly, I think. I think in my experience, the Fiora has to walk up with autos and Q behind. Because the Ornn is the one who dictates whether he hits or not. What he'll do is he'll always... Like, you can buffer your auto-cancel a lot on Ornn. You can auto-S, 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 and your champ will just do this. And he'll never hit. And the Fiora eventually will just choke a W, no matter what. Doesn't matter how pro you are. So that's one small thing I noticed in top lane from Ornn matchups into carries so far. Because the West played a lot of Ornn. Like, EU played... BB and Wunder played Ornn. Fudge and the NA tops were playing carries, right? Who played Fiora? Fudge played Fiora. And... Someday played Fiora as well, yeah. Interesting, isn't it? How EU comes into Worlds and plays 2 games of Ornn, and then NA plays 2 games of Fiora. Yeah, here's a big mistake from Hilly. This is a huge mistake, because you have to understand top's in a great spot. Enemy jungle's top side. Your jungler's diving mid and forcing LeBlanc off waves. And now you're just dying bot 2v2 in an isolated winning matchup. It's just unnecessary. So this was a big mistake by Hilly, I think. Really big mistake. So here, look. The Ornn can walk up here whenever he wants. And he can, like, fake autos. And the Fiora can never trade back. The Fiora can't Q in as she's been hit by Bellows Breath. So, like, I think Fudge... I don't want to say he misplayed the matchup, because I've only seen instances of, like, 5 seconds every minute when the camera pans top. But, I mean, he's... If you look on paper what Zeus did to Flandre versus what Fudge did to Wunder, I think the value of the blind pick Fiora just doesn't exist. Like, here, look. Really good hold wave top. So that's kill pressure top, right? Yeah, Blabber's covering bot. Like, they had... Like, this is an Orin with no flash with a wave pushing into Fudge, and Fudge can walk past the wave to zone. But his jungler's not top side, so... Yeah, like, I don't know what Blabber's doing bot right now. I don't know what his logic was, because there was a replay. But he runs from base to bot when his Krugs are up, which I get, because he's going to full clear bot the top again. But I think this should be communicated. Like, Orin just flashed, and Sejuani's playing versus Maokai. Who cares if he falls down and creeps? The only threat, I think, is Berserker's low on mana, and maybe they are calling bot that they can get Dove. But they have to get Fiora ahead. I think if MF has to sack a wave for a kill top, it's always worth it. Like, Sejuani could just come through lane here, blast cone over. Maybe they have a kill, not sure. Depends on how Wunder steps up on the wave. Like, look where he is on the minimap now. And Razork's taking Raptors, so I think the only info they have is that Sejuani's top is my eyes. I don't know. They lost a few options. When you're playing LeBlanc, Fiora, MF Node against 5 scaling champs, you have to do something. But a lot of people are jumping to conclusion a lot. Guys, it's day one. Don't... Like, people are saying Genji's washed and they're not getting out of groups. People are saying fucking T1 Damwon are going to win Worlds, which actually I don't want to overreact either, but I did say I think T1 Damwon can win Worlds. And that JDG sucks because they almost lost to EG. Also, I don't get it. Dude, I opened my phone this morning. I got people atting me on Twitter saying, Caedrel, you fucking doubter. You doubted T1. You look how good they are. You said that they would get demolished. No, I didn't. What the fuck? I said, I think there's 5 teams that can win Worlds. I said it's going to be top esports, JDG, EDG, and T1 Damwon. That's it. That's what I said. I said it like a week ago, you fuckers. I said a lot of people were sleeping on T1 because the meta is really good for them. Carry tops, utility bots, that's perfect for T1. If it was tank tops and fucking hyper carries bot, like Zeri Ornn meta, then T1 is screwed, I think. And that's what happened in summer. But now you can play anything mid, and it's carry tops, utility bot. So I think the 2 biggest winners of Worlds meta are Damwon and T1. Because they have weak bot lanes and really strong top sides. And the biggest losers of it are EDG. RNG is kind of like in the middle. I think Breathe can carry, and Wei and Zhao who are insane, but I also think Gala's good. Like, there's some teams that are like in the middle. Did you just say Carria's weak? No, I meant their 2v2 bot is weak. Carria's obviously really good. Everything has a weakness, and if you argue that T1's weakness is not their bot lane, then you're delusional and you haven't watched T1 this year. Bot lane being a collective, not being individual. Carria. Ah, fuck it, I'm just gonna say, yeah, it's Gumayushi. Just Gumayushi. I don't know why I say bot lane. Maybe you're right. C9 got Herald. They over-rotate a bit. From Italy, Caedrel. Yo, ciao. It's not too bad. Like, Fnatic's playing a scaling comp, right? So why would they ever try to match top? It's completely useless. The only reason that I think Fnatic could contest this Herald is Blabber is level 5. But they don't have the info or the wave set up to actually contest this because MF's first. They just trade for Drake. It's really good for Fnatic if they can start stacking Drakes with this pushing bot. Ideal here is that Fnatic want to zone away C9 from bot, just so they can slow down their pace into the wave so that Upset can get an extra plate. But I think he gets the extra plate anyway, which is good. But look at the CS in mid. It's crazy. I mean, they threatened the mid dive earlier on, and then they got his flash a little bit after that. But Humanoid completely gaps Jensen this game. And the LeBlanc is getting pushed in and has no help. So you're playing LeBlanc under your tower, and you can't roam, and you can't kill the enemy mid. It's really tough. So they'll be fine. Nice try by Blabber to lane gang top. But Fnatic are smart. What they do is they push in bot, swap their bot lane top to match the Fiora because the matchup's getting a bit harder as she gets Sunderer, right? Into Ornn. And then they just keep doing this. They both have side lane push and they keep basing on tempo and swapping. The only thing I think they fucked up with, which I can kind of get why Fnatic fucked this up, was I think their idea is Ornn cannot get Dove by C9 3-man and he can just wave clear. Whereas Fiora will get Dove by Fnatic 3-man and she will die no matter what. Because of bailout and like Maokai tanking with Aftershock. But Wunder just gets one shot under this tower. He literally just gets absolutely one shot. I mean, they layer everything really well. But the biggest problem that Fnatic have now is Hilly is randomly top, isn't he? Like, look at Hilly's map movement. They swap on tempo, they base together, but now Aphelios is running bot and Hilly's running top because there's no wave to play on. But then, by the time he arrives and Upset's pushing bot, Hilly should be around bot right now as well. And he should be stepping up, helping Razor get Krugs, like zoning this Fiora in between 2 towers. And they should have got this full tower. So, another mistake by Hilly, I think. I can kind of get why he goes top, because he says that maybe Razor Upset can dive Fudge together and hit the tower, and then Hilly being top can cover Wunder's dive, but I think they're trying to cover too many things. Maybe it's better that they just let Wunder die and just try to dive bot. Maybe if Hitty got a couple more wards in earlier. Nah, there's no way he could have... Maybe his logic was he could ward top earlier so that Wunder has more info to work with, so he knows when to ult the wave. Fnatic, the reason Fnatic's winning this game is because they shouldn't have this much mid push. When you have 2 lanes push in League of Legends, you control the game. Because you can play on 2 lanes. That's basically what it means. I can push in mid and threaten the mid dive, and I can also push in mid and roam bot. Whereas if you're playing on 1 lane and only have push on 1 lane, you can only push that lane and move to the lane closest, right? So here's a little league tip for you all. If you have top push, what is the threat of top push? Well, Fiora's only option is to push top and run mid. So 1 lane push is very obvious what she can do. 2 lane push is a lot harder to predict what will happen, because if Azir and Aphelios have push, either Azir can hit your tower, or you can hover for bot dives, or they can move to mid to hit your tower. So there's more of like a seesaw going on, where they control everything on this side of the map and they can take the objective. Whereas here, the only obvious play is just this. So that's the only thing they have to be careful for. So what does Humanoid do when he plays his lane? He pushes mid, but he hugs this side of the map, right? For example, when he has the bot push. In this instance, C9 actually just brute force mid and get his flash, so they get him out of the lane, so they can take bot side control. But that's why 2 lanes is so powerful. And this is a game where I think Jensen should have push into Humanoid. And you might be like, well, how does LeBlanc get push into Azir? Well, the Azir should be in a state where he can't walk up to contest the wave because he will just get dashed on and chained and then enemy junglers there. But what ends up happening is he can just push the wave in his face and he's scared of nothing. And he outtrades the LeBlanc. I also think this double, like, to be honest, it comes back to draft a bit. Why would you play LeBlanc, Sejuani? This sounds like dog shit. I get the Sejuani Fiora, but LeBlanc, Sejuani, it's the worst kill pressure mid jungle ever. Like, when you play LeBlanc, you need LeBlanc Lee Sin. Like, LeBlanc Jarvan can work too. LeBlanc Trundle is okay. LeBlanc Xin Zhao is good. LeBlanc Wukong, Viego, it's okay. But Sejuani, it's like LeBlanc Karthus, you know, like... LeBlanc Lilia, it's just double AP mid jungle with LeBlanc is so horrible. It's good for top, like Fiora Renekton set with Sedge, it's really good. But with AP, it's so shit. The only awkward situation you have when you play control mages like Azir is it's really hard to decide in game states when you put your Azir on side lane. Like, do you want your Azir to be here in a long lane against LeBlanc with no tower behind him? No, you want your Azir mid. But then do you have to put your bot lane in that situation instead? Like, it kind of sucks. So what ends up happening is, I don't know what Fnatic actually do, but you have few options where your bot lane just plays towards bot lane because they have a tower behind them. Azir stays mid and Wunder can catch top waves with TP. When you do lane assignments in League of Legends, you need to think about how can I maximize lane push while also maximizing numbers on a side that the enemy team will play for. Does that make sense? So, in this case, if C9 play top side, Wunder will ult top wave, defend this tier 2 with his life, and they'll 4-man bot, and they'll cross-map. If there's no cross-map happening, and C9 match bot, then Fnatic needs to be in a state that they can match bot as well. Otherwise, Upset can't push. So Humanoid will hover down, and Wunder has TP. So you can get 5 people bot if you want, if C9 decide to do that. And all the meanwhile, you have pressure top, because Wunder can push with his TP, right? And eventually Fudge will have to go back here and catch the wave, and then you have 5 versus 4 bot. So that's how you, like... It's almost like you just have to figure out how can I get push, and how can I be able to match their numbers. That's it. It sounds a bit... It's not that complicated. It really is pretty easy to figure out lane assignments. All you have to think about is who has TP, who has to push, what matchup do you win in. Like, do you really want to put your Azir against Fiora on a side lane, for example? No, you don't. This was a really good fight by Fnatic. This ward behind on mid. I don't know if they placed that preemptively, knowing that they will herald mid. But, like, Maokai Ornn engage is one of the most disgusting things ever. Like, you can get engaged on from fucking Pluto. If you're sitting on Mars, you're getting engaged on. Doesn't matter. It's coming for your forehead. That rocket ship. Like, where do you run? Where do you run? There's a Maokai ult that's the size of fucking Mount Everest coming here. There's an Ornn TPing behind who will ult you here if you run. And if you decide to go up, then Renata will ult you. So, it's... in the moment, it's such a fucking clusterfuck. So eventually, Sven says, I'll tank the Maokai ult, and then Berserker will be fine.
Let's go,
but then the Renata ult hits him. The Ornn ult comes in and hits them. Like, it's just fucking a bouncy castle, man. And Fudge can't TP, because where does he TP? Does he TP on that ward on the right side of mid? I mean, he's gonna do fucking nothing.
Let's go, man.
So he TPs on the top left side of mid to try to play front to back.
Good job.
But I think this is a situation where maybe he just has to push. He's playing a side laner and he has a wave. Maybe he should just hit this tier 2 with Demolish. Because by the time Mr. Fudge arrives, what does he do? Let's watch. Yeah, nothing. So maybe it's better for him to be pushing top. It's hard to make that call, but his wave, look at his wave. It's really big. I think C9 could have had a tier 2 there. This is the problem with side lanes. Like Fnatic's comp, it's really ooga booga, you know? It's like, what do we do? All you have to say in your comp is, yeah, just go group mid and press R. We get 80 carry flash, and then we go dragon. Ooga, you know? Go fight. Me engage. Which is, so it's really easy, and it scales really well as well. Whereas C9 need to fucking b squared plus or minus the square root of 4 AC over 2b divided by, you know, like, you have to play sides so fucking well. You need to know when to TP into fights. You need to play front to back, like, differently because you have to flank. You have to have side lane push to actually merit being able to contest mid push with numbers advantage and actually make Ornn catch waves on the tower so he can't actually find these fights. Like, it just becomes so complicated. And if you're a really good team, it's playable. But why? Why do you have to do that to yourselves? Also here, I didn't understand this map movement from C9. I didn't get this map movement. Like, they just killed Humanoid. Okay?
Marc.
Like it. Jensen can push out this top wave. Like it. That top tier 1 doesn't exist. It's dead. It's an Azir tower. So why doesn't C9 here just Fudge fast pushes bot, Jensen pushes top and bases, Berserker catches mid wave, Jensen TPs mid and they contest Drake? Why are they dropping Drake? They have all their ults, man. They just killed Humanoid without using any ults. Jensen is staying top on this HP to kill an Azir tower. And they're question mark pinging him. They're saying, why is he doing this? We can get Drake then. If he just pushed top wave and based, and Azir tower makes his wave bounce into him, then he could base, TP onto mid wave right now, with Berserker, push this in, and then collapse towards Drake on a 5v4 and engage with their ults. No flash on Hilly, no flash on Razork. They can't get this dragon. But Jensen is just overstaying top, and now Fnatic get a free Drake when... I think that's a mistake. They should also know Humanoid has no TP as well from the earlier fight in mid. So they have super good numbers advantage. This is the kind of things you need to do. If C9 was playing Fnatic's comp, it's fine to just be like, yeah, we can't fight Drake. But it's not fine. If you say it's not fine, like for the first 20 minutes, saying like, nah, we can't fight that. No, we shouldn't do that. And then you're fucked, the game's over, just open. Because your comp has to do something. Now they're trying to lane gank an Ornn when Fudge has no mana and they're trying to dive him. Like, it just all looks so messy. While Azir is split pushing, hitting your top tower. This is what playing on one lane looks like. They just gave up mid push, ran bot to try and dive Ornn. Wonder, like, I don't know what Wunder's doing, but it doesn't really matter. He's Ornn. Like, let's say, best case, okay? Let's look at this play. Let's say, for some reason, Wunder dies. Okay, Wunder dies. Great. We killed Wunder. Amazing. If Razork was topside right now, Baron's gone. If Wunder dies, the wave's dead. You lose your top tier 1. You lose mid push. There's no dragon. Like, the amount of stuff you could have lost for this play is unreal. They're playing Azir Aphelios. And Maokai, for some reason, runs bot to cover Wunder. Why is Maokai running bot to cover Wunder? Actually, Fnatic kind of misplayed this. Razork should be on his Raptors or hovering topside right now. Clearing out vision. Even C9 is question mark pinging Baron. I think Fnatic should have known that if C9 make this play bot, they will get dash because they have top push. So Razork, I think, is just kind of being a bit defensive here. I think he should be doing his Raptors, like hovering, looking for information up here. Because the reason you know where C9 is going is because of mid lane wards, right? The reason mid tower is so important and killing mid tower is so big is because you can ward the lane. And what happens when you ward the lane is if you watch this ward, even if you give up mid push, you know where their bot lane's going. So MF and Nautilus push the wave, they disappear into Fog, but no, you have a ward. So now you see them running around here and they're going bot side, diving bot. And that's why Razork's trying to cover it. But I think Fnatic should be topside. And let Wunder die under his tier 1. Who cares? He can't die anyway by the looks of it. And he can clear the wave and they won't get an objective. So then if Razork's here right now with Hilly upset, Humanoid collapses, they force Nash, and it's gone. So I think Fnatic could have had a lot there from that. How do they 3-man Baron? Renata, Philos, Azir. Yeah, with Maokai. Anyway, Wunder doesn't die. Loses his flash. I mean, the game now, like, the problem you have is just comps, right? The way the comps work. if I'm pressing tab at 22 minutes and enemy Azir is at 243 CS with 1 death and my LeBlanc is at 185 CS with no kills, then the game is just lost. I'm sorry. It's just over. You have no idea how fast Fnatic's Baron can be if this Aphelios has good guns. Azir Aphelios are probably the 2 quickest carries on Nash in the game. Cassio with blue buff, maybe, with Leandris. But in like meta pro play, Aphelios Azir are probably the 2 fastest. Look at how Ooga Booga this comp is. I feel bad for Sven. What is he supposed to do? Look where he's standing. Look where he's standing. Look where he is. And this is what's kind of... It's artillery from fucking miles away. Oh yeah, you could probably hit his Q on the tower. That would help. Okay. But look what's about to hit him. Like, this is the range the Fnatic can play on. There's an Ornn ult, a Maokai ult, and a Renata ult. There's like... How can C9 fight against this? When they're playing single target damage engage in a side laner? Poor Sven, man. Fucking Berserk onto Berserker. Fucking rooted, knocked up. Unbelievable. So what's C9's engage, guys? Yeah, well, Sejuani can like QR and hit someone, and then we can like hook them. Okay, that's cool. We're doing that to a Maokai? That sounds exciting. Yeah, so Humanoid, I'm not sure why he TP's bot here. I guess he thinks that with Ornn collapsing, he can TP behind bot and kill Fiora, but yeah. That's not happening. Nice try. Small blunder. Means that they give up Nash vision, which is kind of annoying for Hilly, because now he has to base again, refresh his wards, buy more pinks. You see he's recalling now because Humanoid TP'd bot and dropped Nash vision and he lost his wards. Now Fnatic, the best way to play against... So, when you're a team fight comp, yeah, and you're ahead, and the enemy team has 2 side laners, and they're pressuring your towers, how do you progress the game? What is the best thing to do if you don't want to play against your side laner? You force Nash, and you force Nash on a turn, because you're playing double tank, and you have insane turn. You have 3 opportunities of turning. You have Renata ult, you have Maokai ult, and you have Ornn ult. Also, Aphelios ult can work with Gravitum as well, depending on his guns. But what you do is, even if Fiora is like 5-0 right now, all you do is you force Nash, get enemy TP, stop Nash, catch midwave. Force Nash, get enemy TP, stop Nash, catch midwave, catch bot wave. Rinse, repeat, until eventually what will happen is this Fiora will be forced to just group up with her team and not be able to push side because she has no TP, right? And then you're in a state where it's just completely won. I think Upset doesn't... He could probably kill here if he didn't hit that creep. Not too sure, though. He was just probably A-clicking. Okay, Fudge is just griefing top. If Fudge didn't overextend there, then, I mean, I think Wunder would just be catching waves top and Fudge would have the push and they would just force a Drake, probably, with Wunder being able to TP down. Look, that is right there. This, unironically, is C9's engage. Unironically, this is it. Watch, ready? Let's go in. I'm going. I hit Maokai. Okay, I'm going. Let's fight. That's it. That's their engage. It's a Sejuani ult into a Nautilus hook. And then watch what happens to Nautilus when he goes in. Maokai is still full HP. Like, this is the problem with single target damage engage with things like LeBlanc and Fiora. Your team fights have to look a lot different. Like, I think the game is lost. I agree. But I think the players need to get creative. Like, what I would want from Jensen is for him to walk up here and W over the wall. And then walk around or something. I would want Fudge to TP here as soon as he respawns and come over here. I would want Blabber to look for a steal by queuing over. And Berserker and Sven to like come from bot side and try to look for like a flash ult from North into like an MF ult. Like, at least then maybe there's a chance because Fnatic are sandwiched. If you're playing front to back against Ornn Maokai, it's like, it's the easiest thing ever. It's like Ornn Maokai stand here, carry stand here, damage. It's like, it's so easy. Look what LeBlanc can do in a front to back. Let's just watch Jensen in a front to back. The game is already really hard, but we'll just watch it because this is how it will play out anyway. Watch Jensen. What can he do? He can't do shit. And now Fnatic overchase here a bit. They go way too deep. And if you go way too deep, what happens? They split up and they go into chokes and they get funneled. And now you have a situation where it's similar to what the Dragon fight would have looked like, where Jensen is behind them, right? And look what LeBlanc can do now when the carries are exposed. This is what happens. This is what LeBlanc can do when the carries are exposed. She's mobile and she has burst, so she'll just play on her cooldowns for burst. So that this is the reason that Fnatic actually kind of like lost 3 people in that fight. It's because they split up and they allowed LeBlanc to have an angle. And I get why they overchased. I mean, they're so fucking fed and this game's absolutely unlosable. But yeah, I think Jensen should have W'd over the wall way earlier. Fudge, TP, I get that TP, that's fine. Maybe Blabber could have queued over the wall earlier and been with Fudge or something. I don't know, I feel like this fight's already lost, but maybe they can be a bit more creative.
Pog, let's go.
Also, was Jensen's flash necessary? He like chains humanoid, Qs, and then flashes over here. I guess he's flashing away from upset. I think maybe if he's flashing away from upset, he should just flash up. It's a really small thing and it's very nitpicky. But I think what Jensen should do here with the chain is flash upwards instead of to the side, because then Azir can't dash away. Because you're on top of him, basically, right? Then you would kill humanoid faster, but doesn't really matter. Okay, Fiora no TP. LeBlanc has TP. What do? You force Nash. But rule number 1 of forcing Nash. Very simple rule. Always. This can apply to your solo queue as well. Very easy rule for doing Nash. Mid-wave, always the most important thing in the game. Because what happens if you don't push mid-wave? Well, if you don't push mid-wave, you give the enemy team a wave to play on, okay? So what will happen is C9 can't fight this Nash. It's really hard. LeBlanc's bot, they have no vision, they only have a thing and they lose fights. So what could they do? Well, LeBlanc could push bot, they could push mid, they get to play on 2 waves because you didn't kill their mid-wave. They get to hit your mid tier 2, they get to hit your bot tier 2. And there's a chance that you lose 2 towers for a Nash, which is not what you want. And that can be easily avoided by right-clicking mid, having your Aphelios press 3 auto attacks on the wave, and then go back to your go back to your dragon. Boom! There goes their push. Now they can't get mid tier 2. Job done. Free Baron, go start. Really simple rule, really easy, stops any place with the enemy team. I mean, Fnatic scuff everything here. Maokai ult is zoning away Fiora with mobility, who just dashes away. Kinda good though. Ornn ult misses Blabber. But, I mean, like, how can you walk up? They don't do damage. There's your engage. Sven hitting a hook. Hilly presses his hostile takeover. I mean, it's just over. I mean, their front to back is 10 times stronger. It's really good what Humanoid does. This is really smart. This is good macro from Humanoid. Humanoid, what he does here is he realizes, you know how I've been saying all day, all stream, playing on 2 lanes is so important? Humanoid knows that already. I mean, Humanoid's a pro player. He's a really fucking good player. He doesn't even join his team top. He just says, I'll push mid. Why? Because then you can play on 2 lanes. You can play on mid and bot. So what he does is he plays a little bit respect, so he knows where LeBlanc is, sees LeBlanc, pushes mid-wave on the minimap, and then what happens is Fnatic can push in top and move mid. It gives them something to move into. Or it means that C9 have to send someone to defend it, like Fudge, and Humanoid can just stand here, buff the wave and poke him. If he didn't do this and they were 5v5 ARAMing top, then it becomes a lot harder to take towers. Okay, so last thing about tempo is, I mean, look at Fnatic. They got a kill, they got a Baron, they got a top tier 2, they got a mid tier 2, they got a top tier 3. Like, that's a lot of gold in their pockets, right? And they get chunked out. So it's the safe option here for Fnatic, especially when you outscale and you're winning team fights. The easiest, best thing to always do is just don't overextend too hard, right? Don't overforce an inhib there. Does that inhib win or lose you the game? No, it can only really lose you the game if you stay for too long and get flanked or something. So just take the small wins. Now all they have to do is set up for next Drake. Job done. Drake's in 40 seconds. And what do you do when you set up for Drake? You play on mid-wave. You push it in as far as possible. Fudge is playing on bot wave here. So smart by Fudge. What he realizes is his team can't push. Like, creep push gives you really good... obviously, you can take towers, but it also gives you vision. Because people show on waves. So what Fudge does here is he TPs bot because he knows his team can't contest this. So that allows his team to actually play through bot a bit more, right? They can't go through mid. It's going to be impossible. But if they push in bot far enough, then they can put wards down here or whatever. And they can actually be around this part of the map. Now, it's very dangerous because you give up mid push. And they can just run it down mid right now, Fnatic, if they want. But it's their soul, so they won't do that. So now what happens? C9 can group through bot. So what happens in this fight is Wunder is really smart in this fight. Watch what Wunder does in this fight. I think what he does here is really good. He sees Fiora, and he marks Fiora really well. So this blast cone's up. He doesn't have to take this blast cone. He'll take this blast cone when his team needs him. Otherwise, he's going to stand here and just watch to see where Fiora is, right? They don't see anything right now. And he knows the only way they can lose is being sandwiched. You know how I talked about like the Jensen thing here and the Fudge thing here on the earlier Drake? C9, I think, figured that out. And they have Jensen here, and Fudge is going to poke his way through here, and they'll come from 3 different angles. This is how you need to play your single target damage comp. So Wunder is just being a human ward. Checking. Puts ward, then blast cones over. Then they see Fudge, and now they know where they're getting collapsed on from. They know the Fudge is here, they know the Jensen's behind them. But this makes it so Fnatic, it's really annoying for them. The only thing that you can do in a situation like this is when you're getting flanked from 3 angles, from 2 angles, is you go in one direction. Can you go top? No, LeBlanc will dash away. Can you get to Fudge? No, you can't. So what do? You just go this way. You run at them. You just run at them. That's what you do. Damwon did it, I think, against... no, it was the JDG versus EG game is another example. And they did the exact same thing on this exact same situation. Against EG on a dragon fight. Okay, look. Exact same situation. 4-man bot. Enemy solo lane split. What do? Well, you just go in one direction. The second they see Impact mid and they know that he can come for flank, they just all run at them. Look, Impact's right here. Just run at them. Run at them. Doesn't matter what hits. Just run at them. Because they are 4v5. They can't fight. They're just gonna die. Even the longer the fight this goes on, it's okay. So it's the same kind of situation here for Fnatic, where all they have to do is run bot and just charge them. Look, it's really good. In this case, Upset's just too fed. Doesn't matter. He just fucking outlives. Like, this LeBlanc just got died in. How many auto attacks was that the LeBlanc just died in? 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. Well, Upset just one shot with, and he has Bloodthirster as well, right? And Fiora died in 4 or 5 auto attacks as well. And now the game's just over. There's no counterplay.